Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mind Your Mission, a podcast where we talk about how to stay on track towards what God says is good in His Word. We're really excited that you're joining us today. My name's Erin, and my co-host Liz and I thought it would be fun today to talk about what we would tell our younger selves, because it's, graduation season for both high school and college. And so today we're going to talk about what we would tell our just graduating high school self. And then in another episode, we'll talk about what we would tell our just graduating college self, just because for that season of life, Liz and I both got married. I feel like I had a baby quick, so we'll kind of keep that advice for another episode and talk about what we learned and talk about what we would tell someone who's 18 getting ready to go off to college. Liz, do you want to start?
I feel like that was so long ago. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like seven years ago, I think, or something, which is crazy to think about because I feel like I changed a lot since then. I know you have too as well. So, but these are just things that I would tell myself going into college, especially Erin and I had a little bit of a different college experience going into a military academy. So some of these might be tailored towards that, but it's still applicable to anyone graduating high school, going into the next season. So my first point is to focus more on the people around you than the task at hand, because I feel like in college, I was so focused on my work that I missed out on opportunities with my friends or just the people around me, which sounds contradictory because, you want to do well in school. You want to really put forth effort towards your education, but it had gotten to the point in my life that it was such an idol and something I focused so much on. So I wish I could go back and tell myself that it's okay to spend a little bit less time studying on that test and go hang out with your friends, go out to dinner with your friends, because those are the things that I remember from school. I don't remember what grade I got on my math exam.
Yeah, I definitely think that's great advice when it comes to education. I mean, high school especially, you're so focused on that 4.0, that, that grade that's going to get you into college, those extracurriculars that are going to get you into college. That just seems like the whole world. But there's definitely so much more to the college experience, whether you're going to school or not. Honestly, there's so much to those post 18-year-old years that are so important and going to grow you more than academics will, depending on the environment and the school you're going to and all that, of course. But yeah, that's definitely good advice. And something that I had written down was decide whether you're going to try to be someone who takes on a billion things and kind of just scrapes by, or if you're going to be someone who is actually good at what you're doing. I think that I tried to do so many different things in college that I didn't I don't know. I didn't at first maximize each individual opportunity, and I'll kind of explain what I mean by that. I always said I was never good at school, but I was probably never good at school because I didn't ever focus on school. And I also just focused on kind of what you're talking about, a grade versus actually learning. And I wish that I just transitioned my mindset and focused on enjoying learning, because it was all just too stressful for me to actually get anything out of it, and I just regret that. So that's very good advice to start.
One thing I also wish I remembered in college, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at this since graduating college, but it's remember that your identity comes from the Lord, not in your work performance or title, because I feel like all of college, I was so anxious because of that very reason, because my identity was always in my performance, whether it was military performance, athletic. I didn't do sports, but just fitness, because we have to take a fitness test, and in school. And so I feel like that is what consumed me, and it gave me a lot of anxiety. But if I just switch my mindset to, which I knew my identity should be in the Lord, but it's such a hard thing, I feel like, to actually put into practice, then I think I would have had a more enjoyable college experience. And just to also put context to this, I was really focused on school. Erin was talking about how she focused on other things. I was really focused on school. So I think it's important to be focused on school, but mine was to a point of where it was detrimental because I was so anxious and all of that stuff. So I feel like I've learned a lot since graduating, and my identity is truly in the Lord. I don't identify in my work, maybe because I'm getting out and I'm whatever, maybe I care a little bit more about it. But I have a lot more peace now than I had back then. And I look back and I just remember like all the anxiety that I had about things that really were not that important, but in the moment they feel like the biggest deal in the world, but they're really not as important as you think. The most important thing is having your identity in the Lord. And another thing I had was your time with the Lord is more important than any assignment you may have. So that's just something I wish I prioritized more. I feel like I prioritized it in different seasons in college, but it wasn't super consistent throughout all of college because there are so many things vying for your attention, and I deemed them more important than my time with the Lord. And so I would just encourage you that the most important thing when you're in college is your time with the Lord, and get that done whenever is best for you. But I feel like the morning's a good time before all of the noise of the world comes in and takes all your attention away. But I think I would have had more peace in that college season, and my identity would have been more solidly in the Lord if I really prioritized my time with Him. But instead, I would let school get in the way, working out, all these things get in the way, and I would give God a little bit of my time. But I wish I gave Him more, because I think I would have had a lot more peace then.
Yeah, yeah. Something that I had written down next was actually, you actually do have time. And I wrote this down because I remember being mind boggled when I found out that there were Christians at the academy who actually read their Bible in the morning. I'm like, how the heck do you have time for that? I don't understand. And I talked about this in last week's episode, just about time management and social media and all those different things. But you do have time. If you want it to happen, it'll happen when it comes to reading the Word and being in community and all those different things. And somehow everything else figures itself out when you're putting the first thing first. And so I wrote that down. Like, you actually do have time. And another part of our college experience, our first year at the academy, we weren't allowed to have social media. And I honestly am really grateful for that, because I don't know how on earth I would have like tried to fit that in. Like, I just can't imagine. I mean, even the whole time at the academy, I feel like it came in seasons, but I feel like I never was on social media too much. That's probably a lie, but I don't remember being on it too much. But there's just things that you can cut out that are not as important as time with the Lord, and that ended up being the biggest part of my academy experience, was just reflecting on all the time that I had with community and enjoying being around people your age. And that's another thing I had thought about. Like, in college, it's an opportunity for you to be surrounded by people in the exact same season of life as you. And once you graduate, you quickly realize that it's harder to find friends, I guess. Like, I'll talk about that like when we talk about post-college advice, but it's actually a little bit harder to find friends in the real world, I guess I'll say, than I realized. And in college, I mean, it's a manufactured environment, of course, but you are with people your age walking through the same things that you are. And it's an opportunity to really develop community. And I'm glad I took advantage of that. And I would totally recommend to anyone listening to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I feel like when I look back at my time, I always wish I spent time with my friends more, because you're never going to get that time back again. Like, yes, we still have those friendships, but life is so much different now. Like, we have children or have children on the way, and life looks completely different. And I might see people like once a year, maybe not even that. And so I wish I took advantage of it more. And I think anyone would look back and say that, because it was just a really special time of, like you said, having friendships with people your age. And that is hard in the real world, because you're not living, like, you're literally living next door to these people, and you can just walk through the hallway to like go say hi and go do something. And so I knew it was special when we were there, but now I really appreciate how special that was. And someone's like, wow, I miss all the community. I mean, it is nice like having a home and I'm a little bit of an introvert, even though I seem like an extrovert, but I do value time by myself. So I do enjoy like that aspect of living by myself and not like being around people all the time. But it was a super special season that I'm really thankful for. The next point I have is that it's easy to look around and feel like everyone else has it all together, but most people are struggling in their own ways, and you're not alone in this. So don't waste your energy like comparing yourself to other people, and just take it one step at a time and give yourself grace, because especially in an academy environment, I feel like it can be competitive, I feel like, or you're looking to the next person and wondering, everyone has different strengths. Like everyone is better at certain things. And I feel like sometimes you can look and want what the other person has, but like God bless you with the gifts that you have. So use those gifts and focus on those gifts and don't try to make yourself somebody you're not. And I also had like, don't let competition get in the way of connection. I was talking with a group of girls who are here for their summer assignments. We were talking about like all these things, and those are 2 points that they had said. And so, yeah, just don't let competition get in the way of making friendships, and don't change yourself to become somebody you're not.
Yeah, that's so huge. I feel like in that age frame, that like 18 to 22-year-old age frame, and when you're all from all over the country, like depending on what school you go to, like there's going to be people from everywhere, every different background. There's just going to be a lot of different people. And especially when it comes to us girls, I feel like comparison is so easy to fall into. And it can be healthy in the sense that you could be motivated by it. Like there are certain people that I was definitely motivated by and encouraged by and like, wow, like amazed by, and they helped me do better. But then there's the unhealthy side of it where their strengths are different than yours, and your goals might be different than theirs. And I've learned this post college too, but I had give yourself permission to not do it all. And I talked about this a little bit already, but when it comes to comparison, some people might have the goal to like be an admiral one day in the military, and that might simply not be your goal. And so your day to day, your steps in life are gonna look different than theirs. And so I just said, give yourself permission. And I have to remind myself this still today. Like, if you're, your goals are different and you're working towards something different, don't expect the journey to look exactly the same. And so that goes right along with comparison because, yeah, it's such an easy trap, especially in that time frame, to fall into. Another thing that I thought about was when you are first graduating high school, based on what the world says, and then also based on how you feel at 18 years old, I remember just that feeling that like, okay, I'm an adult now. I'm ready for taking on the world. Like, I'm independent, all this stuff. And looking back now at 18-year-olds, I'm like, you are a child. Like, you are, not that you're not capable, but there's so much you don't know in like the best and most respectful way. There's a lot you don't know. And in those years, 18 to 22 specifically, there's just so much change. And I wrote down that you still need your parents and community. Like I definitely knew I needed my parents, but I didn't know how much I would need my parents still and how much I relied on them, like talking to them on the phone and looking forward to their visits and being excited to visit home. I just want people to not take advantage of their family support and their community support that they already have from the place that they're going to high school. I just think it's so important and something that you don't want to take advantage of.
Yeah, I would say don't take your family for granted. I feel like I'm really bad at answering my phone. So in college, and you're so busy. I mean, you are pretty busy, but I would a lot of times like not answer my phone and get back to them later. And I just wish I talked to my parents more throughout college. And I feel like I didn't appreciate them as much in that season as I do now. And I look back and I wish I included them more in my college experience, because it is hard living away from home and having like a completely different lifestyle that they don't understand. And so I just wish I was more gracious in taking the time to spend time to tell them about it and being better by answering my phone and talking to them. So you're never too busy for your parents, I would say. And then another thing I had was, it's not that serious. Don't take it personally, which sounds kind of funny, but we had to go through like summer training, this is like what this point brings me back to. I don't remember how long it was, maybe like 6 weeks of like swab summer, or like basically like boot camp, but the juniors were training you. So it's a weird experience. But anyways, I feel like one thing that got me through that was just having fun with it and enjoying like a different type of lifestyle, I guess. And just, it was completely different to me. So I was like, what is going on? But I feel like I just kind of had fun with it. And it's so important not to take anything too seriously, because honestly, being in the position of being the cadre and training the swabs. I don't remember anything I said. And you get yelled at by someone and you think it's like the end of the world, but really it's not that serious. And they're not even going to remember it because they're probably doing that to every person they see. So just don't take it personally and just keep going. Even like with school or anything, if you get a bad grade, like it's not that serious. Just keep going. Don't take it personally. And that's something I feel like I learned, and it made life a little bit better having that realization and realizing that the world wasn't going to end because you made one mistake.
Yeah. I had keep the big picture in mind, and that goes right along with that because it's so easy week to week, month to month even, to take those tests really seriously and to take even the social aspect of college super seriously. But when you take a step back and look at it as a 4-year journey, but then even beyond that, as a career or as just like a blip in your lifespan, it's only 4 years, maybe more, maybe less, who knows, depending on what you're doing. But it's a short time in comparison to the rest of your life and in comparison especially to eternity. So just keep the big picture in mind. Know your goals and work towards them, of course, and take tangible steps and make effort to get there. But like Liz is saying, one test, one bad day is not going to ruin whatever you're working towards, even if it seems like it in the moment. And there are tough things in college. Like, I don't want to minimize any of the challenges. And in fact, this week, it was funny. I was in the car and I just had my worship podcast or worship playlist on shuffle, and the song "Dear Younger Me" by Mercy Me came on. And I wrote down one of the lines in it as I was thinking about this podcast. And it said, "Dear younger me, I cannot decide. Do I give some speech about how to get the most out of your life, or do I go deep and try to change the choices that you'll make? Because they're the choices that made me." And it just made me think about college and all the ups and downs that I experienced, and how even though all those choices are not ones that I would recommend making today, they are the choices that made me who I am today. And so even though we can give you advice and we can tell you what we would have done differently, college is also such a time to just learn about yourself and learn how to lean into the Lord and not just rely on your parents' faith or anything like that. And so don't take it too seriously, in the sense that, yes, you're going to make mistakes. Yes, you're going to learn a lot of things that you wish you would have done differently. But take those as God's grace that he's not done with you yet, that because you're experiencing hard things, he wants to refine you, and just accept that as his love and provision for your life and lean into it. That's another thing I thought about too, is just lean into the experience. Don't, whatever experience you're getting, whether it's a military academy or just normal college, as we say, just lean in and take advantage of opportunities. My mom always said that in college, especially, she was a billboard reader. Like, back then there obviously was not as much technology as there is today. And so a lot of announcements and news and everything came through the billboards in the hall. And not many people took time to stop and read the billboards. And both metaphorically and physically, stop and read the billboards. Like, take time. It's kind of like the quote, "Stop and smell the roses." Like, take time to look at your surroundings and pay attention to what's going on around you, and take advantage of opportunities, even if they seem like silly morale events or like silly community service opportunities or whatever it is. But just don't be afraid to just take advantage of opportunities that might be kind of a step out of your comfort zone or just something random at the time. But you never know where you're going to make friends. You never know where you're going to make connections that could be beneficial to your career or your life later on, or just have the day of fun. So yeah, that was kind of a few different things, but keep the big picture in mind. Take it as it comes. I don't remember where that started, but yeah.
You said some things that I have also been thinking about, and a couple of them was say yes to things more, because I feel like there's so many different opportunities in college to get involved in different things. And sometimes, like the community service events and stuff like that, you don't want to take time out of your Saturday because you're like, I have all these things to do and all these plans. But I feel like you learn more about yourself doing those things and learn about other people more, and maybe get involved in different communities that you aren't super involved in. And then also trying new things. I feel like there's a lot of different things to try in college. A few things I tried. Triathlon club. I hated triathlons. I did that with you freshman year. I learned. I'm just like running. I do not like biking or swimming. But I tried it. Didn't do it again. Then I found out marathon club was a thing. Okay. I was like, I'll do that. And also there's like a lot of dances and stuff, I feel like, at the academy. We had to go. We were forced to go. But I feel like I was terrified at first. I'm like, that's like totally out of my comfort zone. But now, like, I love dancing at weddings, and it's just like, I don't know, really helped me get out of my comfort zone. And now it's like something I'm completely comfortable with, are like dances and stuff like that. And they're super fun because you have a lot. I feel like you have at least a couple a year. But different things like that. There might be different things that your school offers. And I think that's how you meet new people and kind of find out what you like, because I'm so different than I was in high school. Like, I didn't know what I liked or what I enjoyed. So I feel like I got to learn that by doing different things. And then another thing that I also had was just like let humility be your greatest strength. I feel like going to college or going into any job or anything, there's always going to be someone who's better than you. Like, that's just a fact. And maybe you were like the best in your high school at something, but getting out of that community, going to school, there are always people to learn from. There's always people with more life experience than you. And I think it's so important to kind of have a teachable attitude and walk into a room and always think, like, what can I be willing to learn from this person? Like, be very people interested and very interested in other people. Because I think we all have something to learn from someone else. Like, Erin has different strengths that I can really learn from. And I think it's so important to know that going into college and graduating college too. I feel like that's an important point either way, because you don't want to walk into a situation thinking that you're better than everyone else, because you're not, and it comes off in not a good way. So that's just something that I think is good practical advice.
Something that, and if you are good at something, then just let all the glory be to God. And and that's another thing when I was thinking about hard times, when you're going through hard times, if you don't take them too seriously, then you're able to glorify God in those instances, and you're able to, like I mentioned, accept them as grace from Him. So just focus on that and rely on His strength and give Him glory, because it's all from Him anyway. I'm going to go really practical here with two things for a minute. The first practical advice I have is prioritize sleep. So many people, I feel like, in college, I don't know if this is more than, I'm assuming this is more than just military, but people stay up so late, like getting homework done and doing things. And it's just like, one, I know that realistically, I am not very productive after like 10 o'clock. I also don't think I was any more productive the next day if I stayed up past 10 o'clock. So both, like, practically, I wasn't actually getting that much reward for my work after that time. But then also physically, like you're pretty healthy at 18 years old. Like, you're in good health, you have good stamina and all that. But that doesn't mean that you have to stay up late and push yourself in so many ways. Like, you can still prioritize your health, even in college. And so get good sleep, eat well. I'm just, again, very practical here for a minute. The second very practical thing, and I talk about this all the time because it was something that I learned very deeply through college and high school. But I just recommend, like, not dating. Like, just, well, in high school, I really recommend not dating. But then at the academy or in college, I specifically those first 2 years, if it's a 4-year experience, there's no reason why you can't be friends for a little while first. And if it's meant to be, then it'll be. And so there's so much you can learn without having that as your primary focus those first couple of years. And it's probably very different in a school where you could get married before graduating college, I imagine. But like for us, we weren't allowed to get married before we graduated. And so I just wish that I didn't focus on that so heavily those first couple of years. And of course, I learned a lot through all the trials that came with it, but I think I could have learned those in a different way. And I just wish I would have saved myself and others the heartbreak and just made God my first love and leaned into loving Him. And and really decided that that was going to be my life focus when I left for college. And when I was talking to my husband about this episode, his nugget of advice was decide who you want to be. And leaving this kind of goes along with like the parents aspect. Like depending on how you grew up, you could have great, amazing parents who are super strong in their faith and have set you up well to independently go and thrive in college. Or it could be the opposite, but regardless, you still have to make a personal decision to be who you want to be when it comes to prioritizing the Lord and your time with Him. And it is so easy in college to get swayed by the pace of the world, what the world prioritizes, what the world says is fun and exciting and good for you. It's just very different than what the Lord says is good. And so be in the Word in order to be connected to the Holy Spirit, in order to make good decisions. And you really just have to make a decision that you're going to choose truth and choose what's going to bring you life, which is Christ. So just, yeah, those are a few practical things, but also on the spiritual side, just, yeah, choose who you want to be. And if that's walking with God, then walk every step with God, not just like the big moments. It's easy to like say, oh yeah, I'm going to pray for what I'm going to do after college, or I'm going to pray for relationships, or I'm going to pray for the big things, but also like just make it a daily practice to walk every moment with Him.
You had a lot of good points there. So the first one you talked about sleep, which is so important. That is something I prioritize a little too much in college. Like I liked my sleep and I still didn't get enough. Like even prioritizing it, I did not get enough. I went to bed at 10 p.m. every night. Like it was a very hard boundary. But then it allowed me to miss out on other things because I was so focused on getting my sleep. So I wish I had a little bit more flexibility and grace with that. So like two sides to the spectrum. I feel like you have the people who like stayed up all night to get work done, people who went to bed every night at 10, but then I missed out on things with people. So I wish I was a little less crazy about it. And then the other point about not dating till I met my husband the end of junior year, which I thought was like a good timing because then we dated our last year and then got engaged and married. But the relationships that I had before then always ended in heartbreak. And I wished I didn't put so much time and energy and focus in that because I could have been focusing more on my friends, school, running, all that stuff that I also enjoy. But by dating those first 2 years, it really just resulted in less time for the other things that I loved, and then heartbreak, which is never fun. You learn a lot through it, but I think there's other ways to learn, like you said, than heartbreak, but God definitely uses it. And then the last point I had was whatever career you're going into, whether it's you're going to an academy and you're going to be a military officer or you want to be a doctor or anything like that. One thing I just wish I realized was that there's more to life than I put being a military officer, but you can insert whatever career that you're pursuing because now being out of the academy, I feel like I can see more clearly because you're in such a bubble there and all you know is school and the military and a career. Like that is all you're taught. That is all you're focusing on. And since graduating, it's like one of the smallest parts of my life is the career and the military officer. And it's like, it's important to me and I want to do good in my job while I am serving. But it's not everything. And there are so many other things that add to my life, like my community and my family and just things like that, that I wish I didn't have tunnel vision and that I realized in that season, because I feel like since I've realized that my life is so much more full and I have so much more peace and my identity is in the Lord. And there's way more to life than you think. I feel like that was just like, I don't know if you feel that way too, but that season was just so... I'm just so different than I was then.
Yeah.
I just wish I had realized, like, that it was our life. Like, you're surrounded by it. It's everything to you. And so it's hard to make that transition to, it's not your life anymore, but it is so freeing when you do make that transition. And sometimes it takes like leaving that environment, which is when it happened for me to kind of realize that. I don't know if that made sense, but.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I mentioned earlier that you're surrounded by people your age, which is a great thing and an asset. But then also one thing I'm super thankful for that happened in college was that I was able to find people outside of the academy community to fellowship with. So whether that be older women from church or people who are at the college across the street or just people who are outside of the even just your major, like people who are outside of your experience, your quote unquote like college experience is really important because for me, I'm particularly thinking of spending time with families who had kids. I am so grateful for that because it was eye-opening and I realized that like you're saying there's more to life. There's more things in the future that I should be planning for and thinking about than just my career. And I had people who were outside of the military pouring into me when it came to faith and when it came to motherhood and when it came to being a wife that I I'm just thankful that I didn't miss. And so if you're at college, I totally recommend getting involved in a local church and like at an academy, like the chapel is great and all, but it's also great to get involved with people who are in the local community and outside of your immediate experience because they will help you realize things that you might not see in your day to day, and just having people of multi generations pouring into you too is super important because everybody is focused on whatever season they're in, but everyone's going to make it to the next season eventually. So it's important to look ahead and think bigger picture too, like you're saying. So yeah, definitely good advice.
Academy this summer, you're starting a job this summer. I just want to say good luck. I hope our advice helped you out. I know it was fun to rethink about college and high school and all that. And then be on the lookout for a follow-up episode to this where we talk more about the transition from college to work life and family life and all of that stuff.
Yeah, next week I'm really excited. It's Father's Day next week, and so we're gonna mix it up a little bit and have my dad on the podcast, which I'm really excited about. I love my dad. He's been one of the biggest mentors to me in my life, and so I'm excited to have him on and just highlight some of the things that he has embodied throughout his life and his career. So that'll be next week, but be on the lookout, like Liz said, for a follow-on to this episode. But with that, thank you for joining us. We are really thankful for you, and we're Erin and Liz helping you mind your mission.